Okay. I cannot believe it. We're in the presence of somebody with, Johnny, correct me if I'm wrong, over 30 years experience in wrestling.
This is my 30th year.
Wow, man. I mean, I've got to ask, man, what keeps you going?
I've no idea. The love of wrestling, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, Jordan, I mean, the thing is, I can't think of many wrestlers who've been going as long as that.
Yeah,
I mean,
especially in this country, right?
yeah, it's not heard of, is it, really?
I don't know. I think it's pretty much all I've done most of my life. So I guess if I didn't do it, I don't know what I'd do with myself. So providing I can stay sort of relatively healthy, I'll keep doing it as long as I can and think I can perform to a high standard, you know?
100%. Johnny, how's the week been for yourself, man? All right?
Yeah, it's hot, isn't it?
Say that again.
Too
It's
hot.
typical British people, you know, we moan that it's never hot, and then when it's hot, all we do is moan that it's hot. I'm right there, right?
It's funny you mentioned that because I've been doing that over the past couple of weeks, literally moaning.
Yep. It looks hot where you are as well, man. I've got doors open and everything here.
I've got a massive fan outside of me, so hopefully you cannot hear it.
Well, that's mine. My door's open.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. So anyway, as obviously One Breezy said, if there's anything we ask, mate, you're not comfortable talking about, you just say next question, mate, and move on. One Breezy, why don't you kick us off, bro?
So for me, Johnny, you have been in the business like we've established a very long time, 30 years. You've obviously just released recently your autobiography. Do you want to talk to us about that and why? What is some key moments in the autobiography, and why are they there?
Absolutely, man. Yeah, thank you. I originally started during COVID times, and I just jot down a few notes sort of here and there and didn't really take it too seriously until the last sort of year and a half, where I thought, right, I've really got to get my head down and invest in doing this. So I just put hours and hours into it, you know, every chance I got some spare time. And I've never written a book before, you know, I haven't written anything probably since like school days when I was doing lines. So I had a dodgy old laptop that I used, and just Word document, smashed it out, read over it, kept adding things. And the thing that struck me the most was as you're writing it, it was over the process of about 3 years. A lot of things changed as well, because I talk about a lot of like the old school promoters and stuff like that when I was coming up, like Brian Dixon and Scott Conway. And unfortunately, both of them have died since. But I was really happy because I managed to get Scott when he was healthy at the time, and he done a really lovely piece for my book. There's a lot of wrestlers and promoters featured throughout, just giving their like views and opinions. And Scott was a really important one I wanted to get in the book because he was quite a pivotal part of British wrestling history, which not so many people might not know about. And I just wanted his story told because he was a promoter for longer than I was wrestling. You know, he was promoting what people call the dark ages of British wrestling when it wasn't on TV and things like that. So I just wanted his story to be told more than anything.
Absolutely, and stuff like that. So as you mentioned there, you've obviously been through obviously wrestling and stuff like that. How has obviously wrestling evolved in the UK over the years, in your opinion?
Evolved?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess it's like anything. Everything evolves and changes, some for the good, some for the bad. I would say it's a lot more, it's that thing, you know, that people's attention spans aren't as long as they used to be, that, you know, everybody says about with social media and stuff. So I think people could get more invested back in the day in matches because they could tell more of a story over a longer period of time. Whereas nowadays it's more action in your face and get people's attention straight away, if you know what I mean. And, you know, for good or bad, there's crowds that like that kind of stuff. And then there's obviously the older people who like the older way of doing things. So obviously the best option would be to have a mix of both.
Absolutely. One Breezy, back to you, bro.
So one company which you competed for quite a little bit is 1PW. We know the ins and outs, the history of that, but I want to get your thoughts on not just the ownership, but back in the early 2000s, they were bringing in imports from ECW, TNA, and putting on really good product. What is your
Yeah.
opinion on 1PW?
Oh, for its time, it was epic. Like nobody, companies were bringing in imports and stuff, but maybe one or two. 1PW just went crazy and just did like a whole card full of like imports and stuff, and a sprinkling of like British talent. And as you know, it went really, really well for as long as it lasted, but it wasn't a sustainable business model, unfortunately, because obviously, you're not just paying for a wrestler to come from abroad. You got to pay the flights, you got to pay the hotel, you got to pay on top of everything, so the expenses just add up, and it just got, I think, too much in the end, unfortunately. But if it could have sustained for a few more years, it would have been great, because when we were there, we had a great time.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so speaking, obviously, 1PW. Now, I asked former ring announcer Stevie Aaron if he had any questions, and he wanted to know what it was like teaming with Jody.
Teaming with Jody?
Yes.
Terrible. He sucks. That's all I have to say. Pass. Next question.
Okay, one brings you back to you.
I'm joking. He's
So obviously,
awesome.
leading on to Liam's question, obviously facing Jody, but then you've also been his partners as well. You've been rival with his partners, best friends. You've been everything with him. Would you class him as your wrestling brother?
Sorry, that cut out then. Class him as
Would
what?
you class him as your wrestling brother?
Yeah, 100%. It's just one of those things, two guys from two different walks of life, and you meet by chance, at the wrestling school that we both started at. Then we didn't see each other for a few years when he left, and then I left after that, and then we reconnected again by chance, randomly at a show, and then it just sort of went from there. It's a bit like a lover's tale, We met when we were young, then we were broken up, and then we got back together again and lived happily ever after.
I love it. That's straight to the point. I love it. That kind of expands on my question a little bit as well. So, yeah, I mean, so outside obviously 1PW, what's some of your personal highlights? What's some of your things you're proud of?
Outside of 1PW? Oh, wow.
Yes.
Man, there's been a lot. Just a big one for me, which I talk about a lot in the book, is like the people you meet and stuff like that. How just, I can meet someone from Japan and then you'd have that connection with them, or I'd meet someone from America or Europe. All of these places where people you would never normally meet in everyday life, and you just find that you become good friends and just have so much fun together. That's been a big one. As far as matches go, just some of the most pivotal matches in my career, like the CZW Best of the Best 2 show was our breakout match in the States. Wrestling for TNA, XPW, Ring of Honor, conquering Europe, getting to do a few tours of Japan and stuff. It was just, for that time in wrestling, when they didn't, WWF, as it was at the time, were not looking for sort of guys, the smaller guys, really, unless you're exceptional. For us to actually get out and break out onto the international scene was quite the feat in itself. And I think that's a credit to Doug Williams, Jody Fleisch, and myself, just bringing a style which hadn't really been seen for a long time and molded it into our own, if you know what I mean. So it was a cross between the old and the new, and with the rise of the internet as well at the same time, it sort of gave us a bit of a boost to get out onto the world stage where you could be seen a lot more, whereas you couldn't before.
Okay. One brings it back to you, bro.
Who would you say is the British Mount Rushmore of professional wrestling, in your opinion?
How many people?
4.
That's tough, it depends on what you're basing it on. Is it on like star power? Is it on what they've done for wrestling?
All round, everyone. It's your own personal opinion.
Oh. Wow, I don't know. That's tough. I guess you got to put people like Big Daddy on there, because that's the first name every person who doesn't really follow wrestling would say as soon as you say British wrestling. think of Big Daddy, right? And Giant Haystacks, Kendo Nagasaki, those guys. For me personally, from like the generation before me, you'd have people like, Robbie Brookside, Doug and Jody and people like that from my era. But it's a tough one to say because, like I say, it depends what you're looking at. Work rate in the ring, personality, drawing people to shows and things like that. But yeah, I'd say the usual suspects probably.
Yeah, I mean, every time I speak to wrestling fans, the two names which come straight away is Giant Haystacks and, like I said, Big Daddy. So that's the main two. Everyone says, so the fact you said that is just probably massive. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, absolutely. I want to talk a little bit about the fan base and stuff like that. When it comes to wrestling, what's some things fans will never understand when it comes to wrestling? We know obviously how vocal they are.
Yeah.
Then what's some things do you think they'll never understand in a way?
I would say that the aftermath of wrestling, what happens to the wrestlers, like everybody knows kayfabe's dead now, right? But it doesn't mean to say just because it's a show that the guys don't get hurt, because a lot of guys do get hurt and you don't see that part of it. Obviously you just see their 10-15 minutes in the ring and then on to the next match or to go home onto your own lives. I can tell you straight, a lot of the guys go home and they'll be limping or they'll be banged up and bruised or cut or broken bones, sprained thumbs, everything. It's all stuff like that people don't see after the matches that would be nice to get a little bit of recognition for. Like you say, I've been doing it 30 years and touch wood, I've generally been all right. Obviously I've had concussions and been banged from pillar to post, but I've never had like that major injury, thankfully, that has put me out for quite a long time. Jody's had a few where he's had like dislocated elbows and he broke his jawbone once as well. Horrific injury. Had to have like his jaw wired and stuff. And it's all in the name of entertaining you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. One Brisith, back to you, bro.
So what would you say, Jonny, is the most rewarding thing about being a professional wrestler?
I think for me, it would be to leave memories for the people at the show. I want people to go away from a show and thinking that was a really good night. I really enjoyed it and I like this guy, that girl, whoever it was on the show. And just create memories, I guess, and going back to when I come through and the way I was brought up, taking the people's emotions on that roller coaster ride in your match or on the show, which is something not many people can do in like that live form of entertainment, where it's ad lib and improv to a certain extent. Do you know what I mean? Like you can sit and watch a movie which will take you on the highs and lows and get you emotionally invested, or a series, but it's not live entertainment like we're doing. So we actually get to do that on the fly live, which I think is something not many entertainment products can do.
No, absolutely. How did the WonderKid name come about?
I don't know. I think I just come up with it, That when I was a kid, I always wanted to be called the Sandman for some reason. So I don't think Hack would have appreciated that. He'd probably whack me with his cane. It's a really good story actually with us and me, Jody and him in Japan, which if you buy my book, you'll hear about.
Basically saying he's not saying it on here.
I can't give it away, mate. I can't give it away. This bad boy right here.
Absolutely. One Brisith, back to you, bro.
Jonny, just lift that book back up 1 second. Let's just take a moment to appreciate the front cover, how awesome that is.
You like that?
Yeah, it's very well detailed. Who designed that, or like whose idea was for the front cover?
Like you see the back of it there, yeah.
Mm.
That is. Do you remember the old DVDs when you
I
rent
do,
out
yeah.
something like that? I wanted it to be like a movie, so they have like the star ratings and all the little quotes about what people thought about the film. And actually, in those quotes there, they're little snippets of what people have said in the book. So you've got some really famous wrestling names. You've got Paige, who's obviously Saraya. You've got Will Ospreay, Jeff Jarrett, Al Snow, Nick Aldis, and they're just a few of the people in the book. Like I don't want to give too much away because there's so many wrestlers in there that I just want people to be reading it, and then it's just like, oh damn, he's in it. Oh damn, she's in it. You know, like there's a whole as the stories go through, there's loads like that, and it's good fun. But yeah, I'm a big movie fan, so I wanted it to be kind of like a movie in a way, like the gist of it, but the movie is my story. You know,
dropping some big names here as well, Jonny.
What's that?
Dropping some big names there, by the way.
Oh, you know, I'll pick them up in a minute. I've got a few more to drop.
Absolutely, stuff like that.
But the cover, sorry, getting back to the cover, though, it was my design. I had no idea what I wanted in my head, and I just told the designer how I wanted it, and then a few tweaks here and there, just little bits and bobs, just to change it around and stuff. But yeah, I really like the cover because that really stands out. Like,
I was just about to say, like, it stands out and it's really well detailed.
Yeah, like normal autobiographies, when you see them in the shops and that, it's literally just the face of the person with the name. Yeah, and I guess that's what works. I mean, like I say, I've never written a book or anything like that, but for me, it's obviously not for sale in Tesco's or whatever, but at a show, it always attracts attention, you know? So I did want it to sort of pop out, and it also reflects sort of my personality as well, I think.
Yeah. Would you write another one?
What's that?
Would you write another book?
Oh, God. If I do another 30 years, yeah, I'll do another one for you, mate.
Jesus. A long time, eh?
Yeah, it was a lot of hard work, man. Like, a lot. But it's given me a bit of it's probably one of the best things I've ever done. I'm so glad I did it because I did it when I originally started. I only was doing it for me, just to like have that to look back on, you know. It wasn't necessarily going to be a book, just sort of, I don't know, bits and pieces so I don't forget it. And then when it all sort of come together, I thought, oh, okay, maybe I could do something with it. And the fact it coincided with my 30th year in professional wrestling, it was meant to be, you know, written in the stars. So I wanted to get it out for that, and then getting in touch with all like old friends here, there, and everywhere to be part of it as well. It's I can honestly say it's a 100% honest book, and everything the other wrestlers and stuff and people who are in it, all I ever said to them when I got in touch with them was just write whatever you want and I'll put it in the book. And that's exactly what they said to me, is exactly how it come across. So, you know, I haven't had like an editor or any sort of one professional to look at it. It's just been me, and I hope it's good. Like, the feedback I've had is really, really good so far, which I'm obviously over the moon with. And yeah, long may it continue.
Absolutely. What we'll do is we'll put the link in the description for your book so people can go and support it. How's that?
Thank you. Yeah, that'd be great, man. Like it. The week it come out, it was number 4 in the Amazon charts with wrestling and MMA books. So unless nobody put a new book out that week, that's probably why.
We're definitely seeing stuff like that. So when you're obviously starting out, obviously wrestling and stuff like that, what's some advice obviously you got given, which obviously stuck with you?
Oof. Wow. Do you remember a wrestler called Jackie Pallow from the 60s? Old British wrestler.
I do not.
Okay, but there was an old British wrestler called Jackie Pallow, Mr. TV. He feuded with Mick McManus. You must have heard of Mick McManus.
Yep. Right.
So they had like their big feud going on in the 60s. And where I trained, old man Pallow, the old boy himself, would come down. He must have been like in his 80s at the time. And he actually wrote a book which got him outcast, blackballed from British wrestling because he exposed the business in it. And the thing that stuck with me when I read that book was rule number 1, as in a 10 commandments, is thou shalt not hurt thy opponent. That's exactly what, and that has always stuck with me in my head. And I think that's another thing about today's wrestling, you know, like you got these guys going in there and really going for it and having great matches, but they're killing themselves. And I think back in the old days, we were working the fans with what we did in the ring. And I think it's got to the point now where a lot of the fans are working the wrestlers. Like, the wrestlers seem to be going out there and killing themselves, whereas everybody knows it's a show and stuff like that. You know, I'm not saying don't go out there and do your stuff, but rule number one of professional wrestling, the whole point of being a professional wrestler is that you don't hurt your opponent. You need to make it look as real as possible. And, you know, obviously accidents are going to happen and you're going to clip people and clunk people and land on people. But that's all part and parcel of being in the ring. You know, you're always going to get bumps and bruises and whacks. But for me, it's all about not hurting each other and working together as a team in there. That's what I would say.
That's the answer. What brings you back to you, bro?
So, Jonny, you've been in the wrestling business that we've established 30 years. Who have you yet to face that you want to before you eventually retire?
Wow, that's tough because to drop a few more names again, I've wrestled like the CM Punks, the AJ Styles, the Will Ospreays, obviously like the cream of the crop for me, those guys. Rey Mysterio is someone I'd love to wrestle. I've been on shows with him when I've been in the Middle East and stuff, and just to be around him and the aura of him is tremendous. He's someone I'd love to wrestle, you know, for especially being a smaller wrestler myself. Like the doors he opened for guys like me to come in is just, wow, superb.
I love that answer straight away, straight to the point. So I ask a lot of wrestlers this way I interview, and it's like, how hard is it juggling family life and wrestling life, in your opinion?
It's different in England, right? Because it's not like you're on the road 4 or 5 days a week getting flights here, there, and everywhere. You know, I've wrestled pretty much for 30 years and I've been abroad. I still do a lot in Europe and, you know, wherever in the world, the Middle East and stuff. And it's not like you're away from your family like that. Because the shows are mainly weekends for a start. So you might be away a Friday or a Friday and a Saturday night. The only time you're really away from your family is if you go on like the holiday camps and you've got a run of like 6 to 8 weeks where you've got to go from like, you know, camp to camp to camp. But even then it's just like a summer thing, or it'll be a week during term time when the kids are off school and stuff like that. So I've never ever had a problem with like it messing with my family life, being away for the odd show or two, because it's not the WWE. It's not you're on the road full time. You know, you can wrestle full time in this country, but it's not like a 9 to 5 Monday to Friday thing. Full time in this country probably means, you know, you're wrestling every single weekend of the year. So during the week, you can be a pain in the ass to your other half. What I do.
I love it. One breezy back to you, bro.
So, Jonny, you've trained a lot of professional wrestlers as well. Do you want to name a few to us?
I wouldn't say I've trained people. I've done a lot of seminars, but to be an actual trainer of someone, I'd say you'd have to be in there with them, you know, every single week and bring them up. A lot of wrestlers have been to a few of my seminars and stuff like that, which is cool to see them and how they progress as they come up. But yeah, I can't really, unfortunately, take credit for anyone amazing at the moment, unless I open up a wrestling school.
There you go. So I want to ask about your match tomorrow, obviously at SPW in Barnsley, which is my hometown. You're up against Young Horrors. Tell us about it.
Wow, yeah. And the promoter, Gav Kilner, we met, oh my God, over 20 years ago, it must be. He ran a show back in the day, right? I think it was. And yeah, he got in touch with me maybe last year and we reconnected again, which was really cool to hear from him. And he said he was getting back into wrestling. So yeah, I jumped at the chance when he asked me to. And I don't really know too much about young Horace, but I've heard he's really, really good and he's very talented. So it's going to be a bit of a surprise for me. The only thing I'm not looking forward to is the drive up there, because that is bloody miles away. Barnsley is a long way. Yeah, I've got a long weekend as well ahead of me. So he's getting me while I'm fresh and early. Well, we'll see after the car journey.
Absolutely. One breezy back to you, bro.
Plenty of Red Bulls for tomorrow.
I saw a thing today, right? It might have been on Twitter. It's like a chart of all drinks and how much sugar they've got in. And Red Bull was like up there near the top with like a Coke and a Pepsi and all that kind of stuff. I couldn't believe it. Had like 5 or 6 cubes of sugar next to the drink. That's how much sugar is in a Red Bull, apparently.
I don't know.
Yeah, crazy. And I saw a video. It could all be rubbish in it because I've just seen it online. But apparently, it's someone's heart, and it's the inside of the heart when a normal heart beating, and then after they have a Red Bull, it shows what it does to the heart. And obviously, it just goes like really fast and gets bigger and stuff. That is mad.
We put a lot of things in our body that we probably shouldn't, like obviously fast foods, takeaways.
But it always the best, doesn't it?
No, then you just feel it the morning after.
Yeah.
Which is kind of ironic because one of my fan questions is actually what's your go-to cheat meal?
Okay, well, we'll get to that. So, Jonny, you are 48 years of age, but you don't look a day over 20, we'll say.
Yesterday, thank you, mate.
How long can you see yourself wrestling for?
Again, I think it's one of those things. It's just when I feel that I can't deliver in the ring, and I'm not saying I've got to have 5-star matches every single time out, but I think if I can still go in there and entertain the crowd, and I want to give a 5-star match, when I can and stuff, but I think when I just feel I'm just phoning it in or just shouldn't be in there anymore, then that'll be it for me. But like you say, at the moment, I feel good. I'm in pretty good shape and stuff like that. I'm still getting around the country and entertaining the fans and working for all these awesome companies and some new ones like Super Pro tomorrow, which I'm really looking forward to. I'm just going to keep going, man. I've got a mortgage to pay as well.
It's true.
Absolutely. Yeah, the cheat meal question. Let's go back to that one.
Cheat meal. I love Nando's, of course, as everybody does. I guess that's pretty typical. But a meal that I make on my own, which I've always liked as a kid, I really don't know why, is beef mince with bacon bits and rice, and I mix it all together, and then I get like mini pittas, and then I just eat them like in the Middle East. They eat a lot of their food with they just scoop it with the pittas, like that, and that's my go-to meal. I love that at the moment. Every day I have it once a week. I just look forward to it the whole day.
I'm not gonna lie, that actually sounds quite nice.
Yeah, mince bacon bits, because you can buy them as the bacon bits.
Don't like bacon lardons, innit?
Yeah, exactly that, and rice. Mix it all up, butter, salt and pepper. Just mix it all up, and then get your scoop game on. And trust me, let me know.
I want to actually try that.
I am as well. That's my weekend sorted.
Yeah.
Anyway, one Brisith, back to you, bro.
I know we're speaking a lot on retirement, and you're not planning on retiring soon. But if you could pick your final opponent, who would you want?
Oh,
what a question.
Man. Dead or alive?
Let's go with a realistic one. Who do you want to be your final opponent?
Wow. Do they have to be active still as well?
It's your final opponent. Who do you want to be?
It'll have to be Jody, I suppose, wouldn't it? That'd be a nice little sort of a fairy tale ending that we could finish the way we started, if you know what I mean. If we could still do our match, I'd be impressed in like 10 years' time. We'll see. I reckon I
It
could do
was
it.
Sting, wasn't it? The British Sting.
That's it, mate. Yeah. I'll come out with the baseball bat and the face paint and do another 10 years after that as well.
Shit.
Do you still keep in touch with Jody?
Yeah. Every now and then, like he's coming off a couple of bad injuries, and then he's sort of proper retired, or he just put a little bit online about calling it a day, and that was about, I don't know, 6 months, maybe a year ago. But now he's talking about, I might come back and do a few. You can never say you're retired in this job, and I never will. That's why, because I don't want to say, oh, I'm retiring, and then everybody, you get the whole outpouring about, oh, well done, all that kind of stuff, and then you come back, it sort of devalues it a bit, I think, for me. So yeah, unless I'm really 100% sure I'm going to retire, I'm not going to say it. So stop trying to retire me, you two. What's wrong with you?
Sorry.
Clear.
One Brisith, back to you, bro.
I mean, But you mentioned obviously earlier Doug Williams. How impactful would you say he has been to the British wrestling scene?
Yeah, 100%. Like the name, the ambassador, is perfect for him, isn't it? Like just the way he conducts himself inside the ring and outside the ring. He's the epitome, what I think a British wrestler should be. You know, he's in great shape, good size, can do a mixture of styles, work heel and face. I think that's something every British wrestler should aspire to be like. You know, he's got his own style as well to a certain extent. He's not just Americanized or he's taken influences from all over the world, you know what I mean? But he still kept his core as a British wrestler, which I think is so important nowadays, because I do think British wrestling is losing its identity just because everybody watches so much product of everything else, because there's so much to see out there, and not so much British wrestling unless you know, if you know what I mean. Like if you know about British wrestling, you know, don't you? You know, that's a whole scene in and of itself, but it's not a scene that's really worldwide or, you know, got the exposure that it should have, in my opinion. And I'm a bit worried that when guys like, well, he's retired now, you know, but you know, a few of the guys from who are still around from my time and the time before me, when all these guys sort of do eventually fade away, who's going to pass down this style? You know, I don't want it to be a lost art.
And that kind of follows on from my question is, what do you think the future is for British wrestling?
I think British wrestling will always be here. You know, it's survived this long. It's just in what incarnation, you know. There's all the streaming avenues now with the internet and stuff. So I guess you haven't really got to be on TV, but to get that worldwide exposure, you do need to be on TV. And that's always been the whole elusive thing that British wrestling has never had, right? There's been a couple of attempts, but it's never really been properly done or properly pushed to where it could be as big as the Americans one day. You know, it's going to take a lot of money and probably a terrestrial channel to get there, and I can't really see that happening. But I don't think British wrestling's dead by any means. It'll always be around, and we'll always have a scene, and there'll always be peaks and troughs like there always has with wrestling in general. You know, when it just seems when, you know, WWE's doing good, everybody's doing good. You know, so we always want that to happen. But yeah, we'll still be here doing our thing, and obviously if we can get more eyeballs on the product, it's good for everybody.
Absolutely. Well, Brizzy, back to you, bro.
So my last couple of questions, I've got, who is your Mount Rushmore for professional wrestling? It doesn't have to be international, it can be whoever you want. We're going back to 4. Instead of it being just a British, it's your Mount Rushmore.
Hulk Hogan, Undertaker. This will be all Americanized now, you know. Probably John Cena. One more. Oh, I don't know. Just got to look at the biggest sort of draws over the years, you know. I mean, when I was a kid, Hulk Hogan was the man, right? And the Ultimate Warrior and those guys. So I don't think you can mess with them being on top. Probably Rey Mysterio.
Okay.
As well. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, Rey, for what he's done for us smaller wrestlers, you know. Open the doors. I like that. Some people say that, you know, touch wood. A lot of people say to me sometimes, and I've heard them say it to Jody and Doug as well, you know, that we were responsible for them getting into British wrestling, which is the biggest compliment anybody could give me and them, you know, which is quite humbling. And for me, that person was Rey Mysterio, you know, so I know how I feel about him and what he's done for us. So if we've helped in any way to bring some people into the show or just be fans of wrestling and stuff like that, then that is, I think that's the greatest honour.
100%. So you've done so much, like we've obviously alluded to quite a few times. What's next for you, man? What's some of your goals you want to do now?
I'm happy doing what I'm doing, man. I like to be out there and like to be active. I like to wrestle for new companies and stuff like that. I like to keep an eye on some of the talent coming up. Wrestling is constantly changing, and there's always different people doing it, you know, and from all walks of life. I'm doing a lot of festivals lately, which is a whole new thing, which we never used to do. Like, you know, Download have wrestling, don't they? And a lot of different festivals down this way, like music festivals and stuff, are coming in. So, I mean, that could potentially lead to a lot more general fans coming in as well if you give them a good show at those events and stuff. So, yeah, as long as I'm out there wrestling, doing my few shows every weekend and still going abroad and smashing it over there, I'm a happy boy.
Absolutely. One breezy about.
I always like to finish it off with my side. This is my final question. What's an inspirational message from Jonny Storm?
Oh, wherever you go in life, that's where you are.
Straight to the point. I love it. I love it.
Or, no man is an island except when he's in the bath.
That's
Now, those two, believe it or not, those two I stole from Scott Conway, the promoter of the TWA. Rest in peace, Scott, man, and thanks for those. He was a hell of a joker, man, and a hell of a person. So it's a bit of a tribute to him on that one. He took the piss a lot.
Oh, dude, that's brilliant. So the one question, obviously, I always end on is, how do you want to be remembered? Obviously, when you get to that point where you want to retire.
Yeah, I think what I said before, if in any way I've been responsible for any wrestler getting into the business, or any fan that's become a fan of British wrestling from seeing one of my matches or any of that sort of stuff, then that's great. I'd really like to. The whole point of my book actually is, I'll give you a general basic outline. It's a court case. It's all real, but I'm on trial basically for being, whether I am a legend or the unofficial legend, right? And it's up to you, the jury, which is the people reading the book, to decide. And the whole book is all about presenting my case to you guys, whether what I've done enough is legendary or it's unofficial legendary. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the book, I ask the question, am I a legend or the unofficial legend? Do you know what I mean? And it's, you decide, in true Big Brother style. You decide. And yeah, that's what the book's all about. So the case I'm making there is, you know, me, Doug and Jody, were we responsible for sort of ushering in this new generation and style of British wrestling, which I think, personally, I think we did. I hope we did. But that book is there to back up that idea. But ultimately, it's up to you guys what you think. But I try and prove my point as much as I can. I've got other people to say it as well. So hopefully if they say it enough times, then maybe you'll believe it, and so will I.
interesting.
Well, Jordan, I think we're both in agreement here. He is a legend in both our eyes, let's be honest.
100%, man. And I think...
Thank you, boys. That's nice of you. Kind. You need to get the book, read it, and then we'll have to do this again.
Definitely.
I think that's the plan.
I'm going to be doing that. Because
Awesome.
me and you, Jonny, have been speaking about the book. Trying to get it. And then... Because we was going to get the book and then do the podcast. But then, obviously, we thought we'd do the podcast first, then the book. But yeah, we'll definitely have you back and then speak about the book. That's it is 100%.
Look forward to it, boys. Like, if anyone does want to pick up a copy, you can get it on my big cartel, which is www.jonnystorm.bigcartel.com, or it's also available on Amazon. But if you do want a signed copy, I only do them on my big cartel. So please come to that one, because I get a bit more money for it as well, because Amazon take a bloody lot. But I'll tell you something about my book, right? The ones that I sell, these pages, yeah, are silk. They are silk pages, so you can sleep on these at night comfortably like a pillow. And the ones that Amazon send out, because obviously they produce it and send it out, I guess, through their generic bookmakers and stuff, are not the silk pages. So if you want the tip-top book, come see Jonny Storm at the Big Cartel.
That's quite interesting.
Basically, we're saying is books from Amazon.
Yeah, mate. Yeah. You know what? All things like that, though, once I wrote the book, all things like choose what type of pages you want, what size the book's going to be. And all that. It was a whole nother world. Like, that was pressure. Getting like the size of the pictures to all be the right size. And you had to get the front, the middle, which is the spine, and the back all in one, so they can print them at Amazon. That was a whole mission. It was a lot of work, honestly. It's not just, I thought writing the book was bad, man, but afterwards getting it all done and dusted. Oh, but it's done now. It's done now. There. Whew. We can breathe
As
again.
we've established, Jonny, your book is at your big cartel. Where else can people find you?
WonderKid Jonny Storm on Instagram, X WonderKid Jonny, and Facebook WonderKid Jonny Storm. It's all there. I put all my stuff up that I'm doing every week, and obviously upcoming events. Share a lot of events for my friends and stuff. So wherever you are in the country, there'll always be an event going on at a weekend. So keep an eye out on all that sort of stuff, because even if I'm not there, get down and support British wrestling. You know, we want British wrestling to be healthy and thrive, and by doing that, and you guys coming down and supporting, we got a good shot.
Awesome, Jonny. On behalf of me and Liam, but Liam will say his little piece. Thank you for coming on. Really do appreciate your time. Do you know what? We've definitely will. I can say I'm going to be getting the book, and I will be having you back on again.
My pleasure, man. Thank you so much. You guys are great. I really enjoyed the podcast.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I think Jordan said it best. I'm definitely getting the book as well. I'm not one for reading, but when you've kind of taught me when we were reading book about this, so I'm getting the book.
A lot of people say that, are asking me for like audio books and stuff. I guess people don't really read books anymore. I still read books, and I like having a physical copy, because I've got like a bookshelf, you know, with